Is this because of some kind of discrimination against girls in science, or simply because of the natural inclination of girls between science and other subjects?
Well, first of all, what's worth saying is that there's no capability gap when it comes to girls and boys taking science and maths. When girls study maths and science, they do well. In fact, they do slightly better than boys. So no capability gap. However, girls don't often see themselves in those science, technology, engineering type roles. But they see themselves as doing something caring or doing something that's collaborative or creative. And if you then tally that with, align that with, for example, being a chemist researcher or a technologist or an engineer who develops creative applications for the health industry or medicines that really help the whole of mankind, then they see themselves. So we got to think this in a different way: is what does that job look like, and can I see myself in that role?
What do you think? I mean, does it matter if girls don't choose or aren't encouraged to go down the route of science and maths?
Oh, it matters hugely. It matters to the industry, to our economy. I think it's only 8% of people working in STEM are women, which is a shocking statistic. You know, and it matters. I mean, I think there was also something in the OECD gender equality report that was out today that
that's
said...
a fact. I mean, who cares? I mean, why care?
Well, I tell you why they care, is that companies are screaming out for these skills.
Absolutely.
Absolutely screaming out. If I just think about engineering alone, there are 36,000 unfilled jobs right now, right here in the UK. So we're stymieing growth for the UK economy, and we're stymieing the potential for girls.
It's personal growth as well, you know, as Trudy says.
Yeah.
Sure. Nikki, that sort of attitude that Trudy talks about, that sort of positioning of girls, women away from STEM careers into other fields, where does that kind of attitude evolve from? Whose fault is it, and what can we do?
Well, it's an attitude that's evolved in culture. You know, we have what the neuroscientist Cordelia Fine calls a culture of neurosexism, where we have all these myths about how the male brain works and the female brain works. You know, as Trudy points out, there isn't any difference. It's a cultural acclamation to you know, encourage certain caring, nurturing skills, creative skills in women, and not in men. And obviously that harms men too. So I think it's worth saying, you know, everybody loses when women are not encouraged to be equal and to have equal opportunity to take part in these careers. And you know, the other thing is that, aside from the gender equality argument, it's an economic argument. The world would benefit from more women working in science and technology in, you know, so many ways.
So you might just think, Claire, why do we need an International Women's Day? Why do we need a day just to mark half the world's population? But clearly there is a need in all sorts of areas.
Oh, there is a need, and I think there's a bit of a misconception actually around International Women's Day that it is just for women. I mean, sure, it's to celebrate the achievements of women and it's to highlight the struggles of women, but it's for men to understand those as well. It's for everybody to take part. You know, and actually International Women's Day has been going for, I think, since 1908. But it's sort of fell into obscurity, and it's only in the last few years it's really had a resurgence. So I don't even think the question is why we need International Women's Day, it's why is there such a demand for it? Why has it had this surge in popularity?
I mean, I suppose some men might feel, well, if, you know, if women are kept out of the workplace, or women kept at home doing domestic chores, it's better for me. Why isn't it better for them?
Do you think that, Adam?
No, I'm saying it's an argument. The Islamic State obviously believe it, for example.
Because if women are allowed, you know, control over their own lives, there's more money, you know, there's more generalised power, there's more sex to go around, actually. Yeah. Tell the sex angle, you know. If women are allowed to be empowered, they will have more choice over their reproductive rights, you know, they'll have more control over their fertility, we'll have a better brought up, a more intelligent next generation.
Well, I mean, take the boardroom, for example. If you're an ambitious male executive, you don't presumably want a high proportion of women coming in because there's more competition.
If you're competitive, you don't want anybody else around you, male or female. Let's be clear about this, right?
If you could knock half the population out already,
some people think it's easier
well,
to push the women out and just play the male game. But actually, research comes out now, and there's more and more coming up that says profits and results are better if you've got a diverse workforce. And men and women prefer a diverse environment. They have a better quality of life when they go to work. So for everyone, it's better. As you said, earnings are better for the individual, they're better for the company, they're better for the country. So we really, really need to make sure that we include women.
So how do we do that, though? Because everyone says we need more. well, not everyone, obviously, clearly, as Adam says, there's some perhaps who wouldn't want it. But how do you actually get to that position? What does it take? Is it government policy? Is it employers? What is it?
For me, if I think about STEM, because it's been a really good career for me, I've earned a good living, I've worked with some amazing people, and I've had a family. For me, it's about making sure that girls are aware of the jobs that are out there and that they can see themselves in those jobs. That's the first thing. The second thing is to make sure parents and teachers and the career guidance services are aware of the jobs out there. Many of them don't. Many of them are frightened that they don't know about these new burgeoning jobs. And thirdly, we need companies to have a diverse environment, because that not only welcomes the high talent, but it always keeps the talent there.
Okay, this is not necessarily my view. I'm going to make this argument, though. I mean, I suppose the reason why men historically have been dominant was partly the whole question of physical strength. Yeah, there are still some people who say, well, there's a physiological difference, and that you know, women aren't up to it, they can't do it like men do. I mean, and that is believed in quite
well, it is.
large
But
parts
as a
of the
former
world.
dominatrix and an amateur boxer, I beg to differ. And if somebody wants to come and have a go, then let them. I mean, the differences now, gender-wise, in physical strength are negligible these days.
But I'm being serious, because in some parts of the world that argument is still being had or still being made.
But I think it's actually much more to do with fertility. It's to do with because what's always really mattered is women's ability to produce children. The idea of having to keep your women safe and in a place where you can see them, so you can guarantee the lineage of your children, I think is actually what it's been to do with, not physical strength.
But there's something else here, right? There's a power that comes with economic strength, whether that's economic, personal, financial standing or of a country. If you think about Singapore, Singapore is going through explosive growth, and it has done for the last 30 years. They've put a huge amount into investment, particularly around the science, technology, engineering, maths skills. And what's happened? The whole economy, the whole nation has benefited. That's where the strength comes from.
Okay, lots of lessons to be learnt this International Women's Day. Thank you very much indeed.